Virtually every enterprise customer that we have right now is either already moving to Snowflake, moved to Snowflake, or have Snowflake on their architecture to basically start moving to Snowflake. And it's like without exception right now, it's amazing. I've never seen this kind of adoption curve before in this industry. It really accelerates really, really fast.
Marek, Field CTO at Ataccama, welcome to Powered by Snowflake.
Thanks, happy to be here.
I'm super happy to be here with you because we're going to talk about data quality and so much more. So let's get started with what is Ataccama?
We are a global AI-powered data management company, and we help enterprise customers unlock the power and potential of their data and AI. And we do it by providing them software that allows them to increase trust in their data and speed up their business initiative on top of their trusted data.
I like speed, but especially being able to trust your data more.
Nowadays, a lot of the companies are going through digital transformation and really data modernization. And the latest boom in AI really increased that need for data modernization. Now, a lot of the companies realize that they are a little bit behind when it comes to the data management. And data quality is really a first step to go through when you are building a new AI-powered experiences for their customers. Now, what Ataccama does very well is we deploy AI and automation to get you to the very good state to understand and trust your data and understand the data quality of your data landscape as soon as possible.
Nice. I know that you worked at Ataccama for more than 12 years.
Yes.
And before joining Ataccama, you were a user of Ataccama.
Yes, I actually first used Ataccama when I was doing research at the university. And back in the day, I had data sets that were just outside of the possibilities of the other softwares to process. And Ataccama used to have this free tool for data profiling that I actually used, and it was the only thing that worked on my data sets. So that's how I discovered something about Ataccama and started working with them a little bit after that.
Yeah, so 12 years ago, it was really hard to work with these volumes of data. Yeah. Ataccama helped you. But now you have Snowflake. How has that changed the Ataccama world?
Yeah, so as you know, Ataccama was in the market since 2008, so a long time. And we went through several kind of iterations where people were going to different technologies and different paradigms when they're processing the data. Now, last of that right now is a Snowflake, where really what helps customers with their journey is ability to scale to really large data sets and ability to pick and choose their processing needs, basically pick and choose their warehouses, pick and choose their storage layer, and really use Snowflake as a way to store and process their primary data sets.
Yeah, so you had a lot of data 12 years ago. The volumes of data have increased massively from there.
Yeah, and then volumes are one thing. What actually increased massively is also complexity of the data. So everybody's talking about, I have this many records in a table, but that's just a small portion of it, right? That is something that Snowflake does really well, processing on a large volumes of data. But also what Snowflake does really well is keeping a lot of disparate data sets in check when the customers need to migrate their existing warehouses to the cloud.
So they're migrating to the cloud, and then they find Snowflake that can help them and change their workflows.
Virtually every enterprise customer that we have right now is either already moving to Snowflake, moved to Snowflake, or have Snowflake on their architecture to basically start moving to Snowflake. And it's like without exception right now, it's amazing. I've never seen this kind of adoption curve before in this industry. It really accelerates really, really fast. So I think it's going to work very well for Snowflake.
I like it. I mean, it speaks a lot to see the product that's so easy to bring into enterprise and adapt to their needs and work with great partners like Ataccama. And what is your demo going to focus on?
Yeah, so As I mentioned, we are providing solutions in the data quality, metadata management, data governance, and master data management. But today, let's focus on data quality and automation.
Okay, let's see it.
Let's go.
So this is Ataccama.
Yes. So basically, let me show you how we get you from zero to the understanding of your data as fast as possible in Ataccama. So what you're looking at right now, I just connected it to one of my Snowflake databases. I just provide the basic connection information and choose which database I want to use, which role and warehouse I want to use, basic Snowflake stuff. Now from this interface, I have access to my Snowflake browser, and I can go and look at the tables in my Snowflake. Nothing special here. I can query the data, assuming that I have correct privileges to query the data, and I also look into the structure of the data as well. Now from here, I would be able to start doing some analysis table by table, but that would be kind of too slow. We have a lot of automation options for our customers to choose from when they onboarding a new data sources. So in this case, we are looking at the free kind of pre-configured automation options, ranging from the very basic one to the most advanced. So very basic one is just importing metadata, analyzing metadata. The most advanced is what we call documentation, is we import metadata, then analyze the data, and then infer some additional metadata on top of the basic structure. So if I click on that, of course, it's going to run on the full data set. When it starts, it actually starts by importing the metadata. Now, what happens during this flow is that we connect to the data source and import metadata. First, that's your basic table structures, like this is my columns, this is my data types, and so forth. Then we run some analysis. We look at both metadata, some things like names of the columns, foreign key analysis, stuff like that. And we also look at the data and profile a data. We actually do this intelligently. And sometimes we profile the full data set. Sometimes we profile just a sample of the data. We have underlying model that decides based on existing metadata what is the best course of action. After that, we do data classification, either on the metadata or on the data. Data classification really identifies logical domains in your data. Basically tells you, okay, this phone column is actually North American phone number, let's say. And then once we identify those, we apply our data quality subroutines either as a data quality rules or what we call anomaly detection, which automatically looks at the underlying data structure and tries to detect some anomalies in your data.
Seems really cool to have one click do so much.
Yeah. So basically, as you see already, my system is profiling and processing all the data. And you see that some of the data is a sample profile, some of them is a full profile. As we go through these actions, my tables are going to get populated with a lot more data that were originally there. So if I open one of these tables, which is the customer table, you already see that I have some additional information. So this is my basic structure. I have some, just names of the columns, some basic data types. But on top of that, you see on the right side here, the system automatically assigned some logical domains. The blue ones that we assigned fully because we are 100% sure that this is the correct domain. The gray ones with the number next to it, this is actually assigned by the AI. It's just a suggestion. If the AI is not 100% correct, and this 100% actually is something like 99.9, but it's really nice to show it as 100%, you as a user need to go then and confirm or reject that and retrain the model for a future. Now, on top of that, you will get access to the profile of your data. So profile of your data really shows you the battery of statistics that we run on top of the data sets. So if I click on one of these columns here, let's say country, what we see here is we run the statistics about how many empty values we have, how many distinct and unique values we have, what kind of masks we have in a data, and what kind of patterns we have in a data, and also frequency of different values in a data set. You can also see here that we look at the previous profiles and look at the existing numbers of records, and if something jumps out of the expecting range, you will get a notification like this. And we are also trying to start proposing you to create new data quality rules based on the structure of the data. So for example, we propose you to do a pattern matching and specify some patterns that should be on the data and patterns that should not be on the data, or something more logical like validation on the ISO country code. Now, this is something that a lot of our customers sometimes already call data quality. For us, it's just the basic statistics. This is a really fingerprint of the data that we are using to drive other automations.
I have to say, this is already impressive. You are getting so much down in so little time and you're getting so many insights.
Yeah, thank you. Really, for me, it's software built by the lazy people with OCD. You know, the people who tend to spend 3 days automating 10-minute tasks, right? But then it turns out it scales really well when you have hundreds or thousands of tables.
And I love the OCD of showing something is not right there.
Yeah. So on top of that, as you may notice before, I started running some anomaly detections. So some of the attributes have this warning sign next to it, which is basically saying, I'm looking at the previous profiles of this data and something looks odd. My favorite here is a credit limit, for example, where, not all the changes are necessarily bad. There is actually underneath that, there is a model applied on a data that we try to predict what is the next point in a profile. But now suddenly the credit limit starts to increase across the board. And again, this is something that can give you an indication that something is wrong with the data. And user needs to confirm or dismiss this anomaly, therefore, again, training that model on this specific data set.
And that's perfect for the subject matter expert that can look at these numbers and make sense of them.
Exactly. And then you also may notice that we have data quality tab here. Again, all of these that I'm showing you is applied automatically. I just click that one button and everything is running. So in a data quality, we actually run aggregation of the data quality over multiple dimensions like validity, completeness, and accuracy. And in this case, I run the data quality multiple times so I can show you that it actually tracks data quality over time and show some trends.
And it's going down in this data set?
Yeah, and it's going down in this data set, unfortunately. And down here, you can actually view the rules that were automatically assigned to the data. And if you want to jump in, you can actually look at the details of the data quality. And you can also open the sample of the invalid data. Sure. So the sample of the invalid data actually is not running on the live data. It just creates intelligent sample to give you a best possible kind of a idea what kind of issues you have in a data, something like misspelled names or wrongly formatted fonts and so on.
It's interesting that Murphy is maybe a suspect last name?
Yeah, because in this case I just changed a rule a little bit and removed that from my reference table. Again, this is a demo data, so make sure that that I can show as best possible.
So the rule is doing exactly what you wanted the rule to do.
Yeah. So in this case, everything is assigned automatically, right? But this is usually just a start. Now, the subject matter expert here sometimes looks at the data and they want to do something more. So for example, if I look at my email, I'm just checking very basic stuff. Is email there or is not, right? Or does it have like very broadly correct formatting? Now, let's say I'm subject matter expert and I know that these emails should also be from a known domains like your gmail.com or yahoo.com or something like that. For that, I can actually create my own rules here. So I can go here and I can select from the already existing rule that somebody shared with me or I already created in the past, which is important, especially as you scale your organization. Or I can create completely new rules here. Now, in this case, what I can do here is I can create and test rule from the same interface where the data from my data set is actually loaded in automatically. Now, a lot of the times, it actually happens that people who are creating rules don't have access to the data. For them, we have helpful generating data sample button here where we can actually create synthetic data to best represent a test set for that rule.
PII is protected.
Yeah.
And data scientists can do their job.
Yeah. So for the basic kind of operations, people can use this kind of drop-down interface where they can create data quality rules. So for example, I want my email to end with something like gmail.com, and then I want to check for specific formatting, but that's sometimes more tedious. Sometimes I just switch to the kind of a pseudocode where I can write this on my own. This is for more advanced users. Or I can actually ask AI to generate the rule for me. So I can do something like check if this is correctly formatted email and is from known domain, right?
We're living in the future.
Yeah. And the reason that this takes a little bit longer is that we are not just wrapping existing LLM as a lot of the software these days. What we are doing is actually we created a system where our platform is communicating with the LLM on the background and actually negotiating with it. So it asks it, create this rule for me. Then it tries it on the test data set and provides the output of that. And it goes through several iterations before it gives you the answer. Now, this system actually can give you answer that it cannot create the rule. Instead of, giving you some hallucinated answer that would not be correct for you, it can actually show you the negative answer saying, I can't do that. So it's very powerful for some of our users. And you can see right now the rule is created, it checks for the email, it checks for known domains, and I can actually go and test it from here. So for example, I change this to acme.com. I can change some of my test data to acme.com. I can fix some of these data and see how the rule will behave. Now, when I'm happy with what I have, I can evaluation with known domain. I can save this rule, and most importantly, I can say who is going to be the owner of the rule for the data governance and who I'm going to be sharing this with. I want my HR to use this. I will also my marketing to use this because I'm subject matter expert. I'm just providing them the logic of the rule, and they can later apply it to their data sets. And when I'm done, I just publish it, and it's automatically assigned to my data set as a new rule.
Cool. And I have to go back when you said, unfortunately, the data quality of this data set is going down.
Yeah.
Sometimes it means that you are just adding more rules. Like it's not the data quality that is going down, but you are getting better at measuring it.
Yes, and this is most important. We actually, every time that I make any change in a data, I actually need to go through a publishing process, and this creates a new version of history of the metadata. So when I see that data quality goes down, I can go to the version of history and I can actually sometimes see it's not a problem in the data. The problem is that somebody changed the version of the rule or changed the logic of the rule and misspelled something, and then sometimes it's not a problem in the data, but it's a problem with the rule. Right. So this is how we are looking at the data quality from a table level. We also have ways to look at the data quality in a more holistic way on the source level. So for example, if I go to my data observability and navigate to one of my Snowflake data sources, I can see data quality and all the possible problems in my data on a source level. So in this case, I'm looking at all the tables from my source, and I'm tracking all the issues. I'm tracking how the data quality changed for a table, what kind of anomalies I have there, where the record volumes doesn't make sense. I'm looking at all the schema changes, logical domains that were detecting on the data, and the structure changes. And specifically for Snowflake, also for a freshness. This is very easy to do on Snowflake because we can easily access all the logs that we need to actually look at the freshness. And this just indicates where the data have missing updates, right? And this is one way. And we also have more targeted data quality, where we can actually pull more tables to what we call data quality monitoring projects. And in this case, we give users the full control. They select which tables they want to use. And in the tables, they select which rules they want to apply and which anomalies detection they want to do, where they want to check for a structure, and then provide the result in the report where they can again drill down to all the different rules and calculations and set up notifications for them and their users and their consumers to be notified in advance when something breaks in your data pipelines. This is actually most used when somebody, which is subject matter experts, creates data quality on the, let's say, of your data warehouse. They set it up and they put notification to be sent to the data engineer who is building the data pipeline. So every time something breaks, they are notified that something is wrong and they need to fix the data pipeline.
And you're managing the workflow here, not outside by email or Slack.
Yes. That being said, we actually have ability to add notifications, to send notifications to email, Slack, Microsoft Teams. So we understand that in our customer segment, a lot of the companies are using these and they don't really want to be checking another app every day, right? So that's why we are sending them these notifications.
So Ataccama understands the workflow itself and also integrates with what companies are doing.
Yeah. So one more thing I want to show you today is how it actually works under the hood. So every time the Ataccama runs data processing, be it anomaly detection, DQ evaluation, or any kind of profiles, we are actually running it as a combination of the native SQL in Snowflake and UDFs created through a Snowpark library. Now, we understand that not all the processing is easily translatable to a SQL. And this is actually the kind of a secret sauce of how we are working with a Snowflake. For a more advanced processing, we use those UDFs to kind of use processing power of Snowflake, but run something beyond SQL actually on a Snowflake. Thanks to our intelligent models, we intelligently decide which part should be running on which processing paradigm here.
I like these integration points. And if you can push processing to Snowflake?
Yeah. So pushing processing to Snowflake actually allows us to, most importantly, run it more efficiently, right? And save our customers money. They really, as I mentioned before, some customers are seeing savings upwards to 95% in the time and money spent. But also it allows us to get around all of this data locality requirements, where we can safely, process data in place in a Snowflake instead of reading it to any other platform.
Yeah, that's so important to keep data in place. And it's cool to see as Ataccama changes, as Snowflake evolves, how you make everything work together and get the best out of each side.
Yeah, and it's really great to finally have a partner in this tech space who understand the customer needs. Snowflake is really, in my opinion, built towards customer needs more than full focused on monetization. My favorite example is that a couple of years ago, Snowflake released new updates to the processing software, to the processing warehouses, which actually saved everybody money, which means that Snowflake actually made less money, but it doesn't matter because the people just keep bringing more and more data in. That kind of tells me that Snowflake is keeping what's best for a customer in mind.
Yeah, I'm glad that you can say this while working with so many customers. You are seeing this actually happening with your customers and seeing their process get faster and more efficient.
So we usually actually work with very large organizations, enterprise companies, Fortune 500s, government institutions, big telcos, banks, financial institutions, and insurance industry. And some of them actually reported upwards to 95% increase in the processing speed when they switched from previous on-prem data sources to a Snowflake, which is kind of amazing. And that's not everything. On top of that, the way that Snowflake processing scales, it actually increased the processing time very slightly as you are increasing the data volumes, which is something that seems magical to a lot of our CIOs that we are working with.
So 95% faster, amazing scalability.
Yeah, and since in Snowflake you are paying for a compute, you're paying basically for a time that you spend in compute. If it runs faster, it means you are actually saving money.
Yes, getting faster results, which is really important for everyone. And it's great to see that Ataccama is at so many big enterprises. Who are the users of Ataccama at these corporations?
Yeah, so we actually cater to multiple disparate groups of users. So on one hand, we support business users or subject matter experts, right? Subject matter experts know what there should be in the data, and we give them tools to basically create data quality and data processing configurations in a self-service way. At the same time, we provide advanced capabilities to the data engineers and data scientists. So when they need to do something more advanced, they have ability to do it in Ataccama as well. And then we facilitate the communication between these two groups. Especially, it's very popular when the subject matter experts are actually creating data quality rules to be applied on the data. And there is easy way for data engineers to take those rules and use them in their data flows and for in automation.
So business users, data engineers, data scientists, they all love Ataccama.
Yes.
Yes.
Since very beginning, Ataccama was focused on automation. And the reason that we are actually able to do it is because we have unified platform that combines both metadata and data in one place. And we have underlying AI models that use that information to run the processing and run data quality as fast and as efficiently as possible.
It's really interesting to hear how you're incorporating AI models now.
Oh yeah, so this is funny because Atacama did not jump to the AI train a couple of years ago when there was a big boom in LLMs. We were kind of already there. We started adding our AI capabilities to Atacama back in 2015. A lot of them were very, very basic machine learning models. But since then, we basically incorporate a lot of the AI to really automation part of the data quality. And we really look at the AI as a way to increase automation. We are not really providing, targeted data analysis. We are creating, let's say, customer experiences. We are using AI primarily to drive automation and get you faster to the point where you can trust your data and use those data sets in your own AI models. Over the years, I've seen different platforms doing similar thing, but Snowflake is probably the first one where I see the good kind of combination where Snowflake understands that instead of giving all the options to the customers, give them the best possible options and a little bit guide them what they should be doing, right? Instead of just providing, this is a processing platform, do whatever you want, you actually sometimes guide customers, telling them, you should be using Snowpark, you should be using UDFs, you should be building your apps here, right? And that helps a lot, especially in companies who are a little bit slower to the data monetization.
Yes, data monetization, that's a whole big topic too. But if you want to give us a sneak peek of data monetization, even though today we focus on data quality.
We are just making sure that when companies are using their data sets, they understand what they have inside before they use it for decision making or building customer experiences. If I have a data set that doesn't have correct customer contact information, I'm not going to be using it for marketing campaign to basically use the data in a model that does predictive analysis for our customers, because the data is just not great. Using this, I can actually identify the data sets that are suitable to use in those models for customer experiences and data monetization.
But I like the idea of, if I'm going to sell data on the Snowflake marketplace, I should run Ataccama first to make sure that the quality fits good. And if I'm evaluating what data sets to purchase, subscribe to, having Ataccama do this in one click and tell me the health of what I'm getting.
Yeah, and not only that, we are dealing with organizations of the sizes where they have their internal marketplaces. One department doesn't know what the other department does. They actually need marketplace to do data exchange. And to facilitate the data exchange, they need to understand what's the quality of the data. So they even do it, you mentioned data marketplace, which is a public marketplace. They actually do it locally and has thousands of data sets, even inside of the single organizations.
By the way, at Ataccama, during these 12 years, you've done so many different jobs. Now you're a field CTO, you get to talk to a lot of customers. You used to be a product manager, so I really like when you describe Snowflake as a product and its philosophy. How do you see things changing in the future?
You mean in Ataccama or in Snowflake?
In both sides, as someone that's permanently talking to customers, as someone that understands how products are built, you have an amazing perspective of this.
Without sounding really boring, I think the AI is going to be profound in the future. Right now, every company I'm working with understands suddenly that they need to work with the data way, way better to be able to leverage their data inside of AI. What I'm really happy to see in a Snowflake is support for the either built-in AI or Snowflake container services. And I'm hoping that you are going to expand this offering, because I think that's where the future is going to be. People will want to run locally administered models, and they will want to train their own models. And container services and ability to just call AI through the SQL, which is amazing in Snowflake, is going to be very, very important to that.
I like that, and especially as you described earlier, that Ataccama has been doing AI for so long, but also your agents inside Ataccama are deciding how much to push to Snowflake, as Snowflake is able to do it, so everything runs faster and more scalable.
Yes, so we are going to be updating that, as we go, right? So I'm fully expecting that a couple of years from now, we won't need Snowpark to push those advanced options to Snowflake. I think the offering that we will have will evolve to be able to support more advanced processing than it is, or we are going to push that processing to our Snowpark container service. And we are actually working on that right now. because a lot of our customers just require to work with data locality a little bit better. So they cannot even process metadata outside of the Snowflake. So we are trying to push that processing to the container services. And then just, some guarantees about the security, ease of use, and data locality of this is very important, not only for customers, but for vendors like us, because then, we don't have to worry about a lot of the things that we previously had to worry about and build it on our own. We just use your service for that.
Yeah. AI is wonderful, but also we need to keep govern the whole thing together.
Yeah, and AI governance right now is in infancy. It's really hard to predict where this is going to go, especially governing AI models and making sure that you don't have any drift, or making sure that your AI model performance don't deteriorate over time, right? Right now, I would say it's really important to understand that you can't just use AI for everything. It's problematic. You've seen the companies that employed AI in the customer communication and run into a lot of problems. And B, it doesn't make sense from the monetary perspective in a lot of the use cases. So for example, I was showing you how Ataccama can leverage AI to decide where to run processing, but we not necessarily need to run all the data through AI model to just run data quality, right? That would be very inefficient, because a lot of the data quality you can do outside of the AI. Using AI to help you build automation and build those rules is, correct way to use it. Using AI to run those rules, it doesn't make sense from the, financial perspective.
I like it. Use AI to generate the code. The code will be super efficient to run.
Yes.
Have good quality data. Otherwise, everything you get out of AI is going to represent the bad quality of the data that you have underneath.
Yeah. It's a classic garbage in, garbage out. But now with the new LLMs, it's kind of accelerated, or like it's more profound. Like before, you had these machine learning models where, okay, you put some garbage in, but if you have a huge data set, it's kind of okay, right? But if with new LLMs, any kind of low quality data that you run in can poison the operation of your model. So it becomes very important to, keep control of the quality of your data, and especially keep control of the quality of your data over time.
Yeah. Before we leave, I have a philosophical question, which I agree so much with you. I'm just wondering how you work with customers that are listening to this whole conversation and they are thinking, maybe I should not use Ataccama, because if I bring it to my company, it will show that we have bad quality data. If I don't bring them, no one will show off that we have a data quality problem.
Honestly, that used to be an issue in the past, but nowadays it's not anymore. Nowadays, if you look at the CIOs from the companies that we are working with, basically every CIO has data quality as one of the top 3 initiatives right now. And they understand that there is going to be pain. When they start looking at the data quality, they know that there's going to be skeletons in the closet, right? That they need to uncover. So nowadays we try to educate our customers a little bit more, telling them that looking at the quality of your data is a necessary first step to understand where you should start, investing in improving the quality of your data. And they tend to understand. They tend to understand that it's not going to be perfect from the beginning. There's always going to be some internal teams that will be screaming about, you didn't look at it in correct way. But if you show them the data, if you show them the statistics, they understand. And if you show them, especially if you align that to the outcomes of the business initiatives, they understand that having any problems at the beginning can have huge implications at the end.
Yeah, I like it how we are powering, like especially throughout time, you've seen that person at the company that keeps complaining about data quality, and how we can empower them to be like, yes, this needs visibility from the CIO and everyone else, and this needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, and a lot of the time this is also helping CIOs when they are going to their board, let's say. They're saying, I need to invest in software to improve my data quality. or let's say, I need to invest in my data infrastructure more to have better data for my models, and giving them kind of data quality report and score and this kind of a scorecard helps them, persuade whoever they're reporting to invest more in the data infrastructure.
So for every CIO watching us and for every data scientist, data engineer that wants to improve the data quality at their company, where should they go next?
They should go to ataccama.com, that's Ataccama with 2 C's, and contact us to see if we can help them with their data quality initiatives.
Thank you so much, Marek, for coming to Powered by Snowflake.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, and thanks everyone for watching. For more Snowflake developer content, go to developers.snowflake.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe.